let's begin our quiz now. This is the first one. Take a look at the answer. Yes, third-person point of view can be that of a witness or an objective person, objective narrator who is not involved. So it could be a witness or somebody who is not involved. So it can be a character. And first-person point of view usually is not objective because it's a person involved in the story, telling the story. Okay. And story of the novel is told from a third person but selective point of view. Yes, this narrator is not part of the story, so it's a third person point of view. But the narrator uses she, he, but this narrator does not tell us everything. For instance, the setting is pretty much withheld from us. And towards the end, we also don't know what Mrs. Mallow thinks. So that's why it is a selective point of view, okay? And this is quite the opposite. The narrator of a very old man is not involved emotionally in the story, okay? Second one. It's not, maybe some of you miss the not here, okay? Yes, this is the correct one. He does give them nicknames. He describes their appearances, especially the sexual parts, in great detail. He doesn't appreciate their mind. His focus is on their body. Last one, he does imagine what happens in Queenie's house party. Okay, this one. Let's take a look at the answers. The coin words are made by himself. Okay, coin words coined with hyphens. And the aisle he describes is very long, longer than one line in a story. Okay, so that's just one of the examples of, like if you have e-text and you can use dash or hyphen to search, and you will see how many dashes and hyphens there are in this story. All of them make the story, the language very special, very original. Okay, and it is vivid for at least two reasons. It is vivid with a lot of physical details. He describes the colors, the shapes, the effects of light on Queenie's breast, etc. In very much detail. Okay, so that's vivid. But also, he uses metaphor so that we can imagine like the customers as sheep. Okay, or we can imagine the aisles as chute. 就猪圈里面的那一条一条的那个走廊。好。Okay, so these are vivid details, which makes the language very vivid. It is colloquial because he frequently breaks into his own language to add some explanation, like this one. A kind of dirty pink, beige maybe, I don't know, bathing suit. Okay, so it shows that he is not a writer with a lot of vocabulary, so sometimes he's not sure about the descriptions he uses. Okay, and finally the last one, for him it is objective, because he says that most girls would think that this type of girl is well loved because she looks attractive, but now she is not threatening. In this group of girls, she will look attractive, but not to such a degree that she becomes the center of guys' attention. So she's not a rival for the other girls. So in that sense, she never makes it. She never makes it in becoming the center of everybody's attention. That's what it means. But then, of course, the whole thing, for him, it is an objective description. And he may be quite perceptive in describing some groups of girls. But I don't think that it is true for every girl. For one thing, maybe we wouldn't think that all the girls want to win the guys' attention. And maybe we don't think that all the girls' groups are competitive among themselves. Like competing for guys' attention. So that presumption is wrong, right? Okay, so in that sense, it's not an objective description. It's quite a biased description of girls. Okay? Any objection? Do you know what I'm talking about? the last one, for him, if Sammy is the one to answer the questions now, he would argue that, oh, this is an objective statement. I did it with observation, etc. Okay, but for us, it shouldn't be an objective statement. Okay, the next one. I guess those of you who couldn't answer the question, I think it has to do with probably you're missing the paragraph describing the house party. There is a very interesting passage which shows how Sammy follows the voice of Queenie to imagine what happens at her house. Where there is a party and the herring snack is served, with martini drink and also with some other, delicious foods. And then Sammy also imagines that, says that in his house, no such foods can be served. Usually it will be beer, shallots, or I remember some soda or something else, rather cheaper foods. Okay. So fancy herring snacks, shallots, served in Sammy's house, and also the fact that Sammy doesn't know the name of this drink. The drink with the color of water and then olive and sprigs of mint in them. So I think all of these shows that Sammy is from a different class than Queenie. Okay, but this one, actually, one of you asked a question about page 592, the last paragraph, 4-9 got top. The second line of the last paragraph. I think this shows how Sammy is really sensitive to sensual details. Here he describes the sounds of the cashing machine. Okay, so he's punching the numbers, and he describes the sounds. And this is what we call onomatopoeia, 就拟声法. Okay, so that's one. And then the other one is even more imaginative because he imagines that when he punched the keys, then the sounds of the punching, is like, hello, you happy people. Hello there, you happy people. Yes, and then the splat being, he also explains that a splat, people, splat is the sound of the drawers being pulled out, because after he punches the buttons, he'll pull out the drawer and put the money in and maybe get the change out. Okay, so that's the whole process of charging the girl and then getting the money and then giving her back the change. But he describes it very vividly in terms of the sound. And later we'll talk more about the implication of his comparing the sound to a kind of salute to the customers, calling the customers happy people. Okay, I think there are other implications, but definitely it's not to do with class. It's not to do with the kind of class difference the story describes between Sammy and Queenie. Okay, the next one. Okay, let's take a look. Originally, for number 3, I wrote nonsense. But I don't want to trick you because fiddle-doo means nonsense. So some of you may remember the meaning and then choose nonsense. But then I think you will get that will not be the right answer. Fiddle-doo is the expression that Sammy's grandmother used, when she wants to scold him and said that he is talking nonsense. Okay, so he uses the grandmother's term. And then he said, I know she'll be very pleased. Okay, so fiddle-doo. Okay, but then fiddle-doo actually doesn't mean anything. So when Sammy says that to Lengo, he isn't really able to be articulate. He isn't able to clearly express why he disagrees with Lengo. He uses something which is like mumbo jumbo, which is 就是胡言乱语，没什么意思的。Okay, So that's kind of ironic of Sammy, in his final gesture of heroism, it's actually not very clear what he means. Okay, the next one. Okay, let's check. Do you know why this is wrong? I think in the 17th century, there is a very famous film called The Crucible, right? The Crucible is about witch burning, witch hunting and witch burning in the 17th century. And there is another very famous novel called The Scarlet Letter, 新红字, and it also describes what happened to New England, because AMP is set in north of Boston, so it's in New England, and I think John Updike purposely refers to Salem to show that this is really a small town America, which used to be very provincial, 就是很封闭，比较保守的。Okay, but I think with the boldness of the three girls, there may be some changes happening to this place. Okay, so Salem is famous for witch burning, and this again shows how Sammy is unaware of the type of sexism or conservative ideas he had about women. Because at that time, women were seen as witches only because they act strangely. For instance, they might be hysterical, or they might not believe in Christianity, and then they were seen as witches. And then it is said that, very interestingly, one way to judge if they are Christian or not is to drown them. If they are drowned to death, that means that they are human and Christian. If they are not drowned, that means that they are witches, so they are to be burned. So the only good women then were dead women. Okay. So yeah, Salem is really a cultural sign, a very important cultural sign planted in this short story. Maybe without Sammy's awareness. It's kind of planted by the author. Okay. Oh, by the way, some of you still make the same type of mistake that I mentioned in the lecture, and that is you shouldn't equate the narrator with the author. Whether it be third person or first person, the narrator is different from the author. At most, the narrator is a kind of persona, 像是个面具，就作家戴了一个面具来讲这个故事。We shouldn't equate. This is like in a song. There can be a singer, a speaker, and then in a lyric, 就是抒情诗, there can also be a speaker. But the speaker does not need to be the poet or the singer, him or herself. Likewise, the narrator usually is not the author. Usually is not the author, unless the author makes it clear that the story is autobiographical. Okay, even that, we can still try to find the distance between the author himself and the I in the story. Okay, so don't ever, when you talk about the narrator, don't use the word author. Okay. Saunter means walk lightly, walk in a leisure way. But then this is a problem with Chinese translation. Saunter 可能是 saunter about, 那是闲逛。可是 I saunter into the electric eye. I just walk lightly, walk in a leisure way, or try to be casual. He tries to be casual in walking, in light steps, to the door and into the electric eye. Okay, 所以闲逛就不对，这逛这字就不对。好，and then this one is even more interesting. This is not about wagon, it's station wagon. Station wagon 就是这种小货车，比房车更大的那种发财车。So yeah, it's not a 运货马车。Okay, let's move on. What's wrong with going to a supermarket in beginnings? Would you do that? If you go to a beach, okay, and then you need to go and buy something at that point, would you just go ahead and go into the 7-Eleven in your bikini or in your swimming suits? People do have different views about dress codes. I think bikini is really too much. You know, wearing because it's bikinis or swimming suits, they belong in a beach, but not like supermarket or classroom. But about tank top or short skirts or shorts, we do have a lot, right, on campus. And I think nowadays I'm fine with it. I guess there's no absolute no in the dress codes, but you need to be sensitive to different places and their different cultures. You know, if you want to respect the place or respect the people there, then you need to be sensitive.